वार्ता होने की संभावना है। स्वीडन नरेश और महारानी सिल्विया 5 दिन की भारत यात्रा पर आज सवेरे नई दिल्ली पहुंचे। उनका राष्ट्रपति रामनाथ कोविंद से भी मिलने का कार्यक्रम है। वे विदेश मंत्री एस जयशंकर से भी मुलाकात करेंगे। दोनों देशों के बीच सहयोग बढ़ाने के लिए कई समझौतों पर हस्ताक्षर होने की उम्मीद है। शाही दंपति दिल्ली के अलावा मुंबई और उत्तराखंड भी जाएंगे। स्वीडन नरेश की ये तीसरी भारत यात्रा है। पिछले कुछ वर्षों में भारत और स्वीडन के बीच संबंधों में बढ़ोतरी हुई है। दोनों देशों के बीच 2018 में 3 अरब 37 करोड़ डॉलर का व्यापार हुआ। सघन टीकाकरण मिशन इंद्रधनुष का दूसरा चरण आज से देश भर में शुरू हो रहा है। केंद्र सरकार की इस प्रमुख योजना का उद्देश्य 2 वर्ष से कम उम्र के बच्चों और गर्भवती महिलाओं को डिप्थीरिया, काली खांसी, टिटनस, पोलियो, टीबी, खसरा, मेनिंजाइटिस और हेपेटाइटिस बी से बचाव के टीके लगाना है। चुने गए क्षेत्रों में एन्सेफेलाइटिस और इन्फ्लुएंजा से बचाव के टीके भी उपलब्ध कराए जा रहे हैं। अगले वर्ष मार्च तक चलने वाले इस चरण का लक्ष्य 27 राज्यों के 272 जिलों का पूर्ण टीकाकरण है। स्वास्थ्य मंत्री डॉक्टर हर्षवर्धन ने सभी से इस मिशन को आगे बढ़ाने की अपील की है। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने अक्टूबर 2017 में इस मिशन की शुरुआत की थी। इसका उद्देश्य पहले से चलाए जा रहे मिशन इंद्रधनुष की क्षमता और दायरा बढ़ाकर स्वास्थ्य से अलग अन्य क्षेत्रों को भी इसमें शामिल करना है। यह नियमित टीकाकरण को जन आंदोलन बनाने का प्रयास है। उत्तर प्रदेश में इस कार्यक्रम के अंतर्गत टीकाकरण अभियान 4 चरणों में चलाया जाएगा। झारखंड विधानसभा चुनाव के चौथे चरण के लिए नाम वापसी का आज अंतिम दिन है। इस महीने की 16 तारीख को होने वाले मतदान के लिए 15 निर्वाचन क्षेत्रों से 230 उम्मीदवारों ने पर्चे भरे हैं। इस बीच दूसरे और तीसरे चरण के चुनाव के लिए प्रचार तेज हो गया है। विभिन्न राजनीतिक दलों के स्टार प्रचारक जनसभाएं और रैलियां कर रहे हैं। दूसरे चरण में शनिवार को 20 निर्वाचन क्षेत्रों में वोट डाले जाएंगे। तीसरे चरण में 12 दिसंबर को 17 सीटों के लिए मतदान होगा। जम्मू कश्मीर में सुरक्षा बलों ने बारामूला जिले के रफियाबाद के जंगलों में एक आतंकी ठिकाने को ध्वस्त किया है। एक संयुक्त तलाश अभियान में ये कार्रवाई की गई। भारी मात्रा में हथियार और गोला बारूद बरामद किया गया। जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस के विशेष पुलिस अधिकारी भर्ती अभियान में बड़ी संख्या में युवा शामिल हुए। इसमें 5,000 से अधिक पदों के लिए करीब 78,000 युवाओं ने आवेदन किया है। कश्मीर घाटी में इन पदों के लिए शारीरिक परीक्षण का दौर पूरा हो चुका है और भर्ती की अंतिम प्रक्रिया चल रही है। जम्मू डिवीजन के अधिकांश जिलों में भर्ती प्रक्रिया पूरी हो चुकी है। मौसम विभाग ने अगले 24 घंटों के दौरान तमिलनाडु और पुदुचेरी में भारी वर्षा का अनुमान व्यक्त किया है। तमिलनाडु में तिरुवल्लुर, थूथुकुडी और रामनाथपुरम जिलों में स्कूल कॉलेज आज बंद रखे गए हैं। चेंगलपट्टू, कांचीपुरम, कुडलूर और चेन्नई में भी स्कूलों में अवकाश है। तमिलनाडु मद्रास विश्वविद्यालय और अन्ना विश्वविद्यालय ने आज निर्धारित सभी परीक्षाएं स्थगित कर दी हैं। उत्तर पूर्व मानसून के कारण चेन्नई के कई हिस्सों में कल भारी वर्षा हुई। रामेश्वरम में पिछले 2 दिन से हो रही भारी वर्षा के कारण कई क्षेत्रों में पानी भर गया है। पुदुचेरी के भी सभी स्कूल आज बंद रहेंगे। मौसम विभाग ने मछुआरों को समुद्र में न जाने की सलाह दी है। नागालैंड में हॉर्नबिल उत्सव के इतिहास में पहली बार सूचना तथा प्रसारण मंत्रालय के लोक संपर्क और संचार ब्यूरो ने मल्टीमीडिया प्रदर्शनी का आयोजन किया है। इसका आयोजन महात्मा गांधी की 150वीं जयंती के उपलक्ष्य में किया गया है। प्रदर्शनी का उद्देश्य समकालीन मुहावरों के माध्यम से लोगों के सामने गांधीवादी मूल्यों और सिद्धांतों को प्रस्तुत करना है। दक्षिण एशियाई खेलों में पुरुषों की वॉलीबॉल प्रतियोगिता के फाइनल में कल भारत का मुकाबला पाकिस्तान से होगा। भारत वर्तमान चैंपियन है। सेमीफाइनल मुकाबले में भारत ने श्रीलंका को 3-1 से हराया। महिला वर्ग में भारतीय टीम का फाइनल में मुकाबला कल मेजबान नेपाल से होगा। शनिवार को हुए सेमीफाइनल में भारत ने मालदीव को हराया था। इसके साथ ही ये समाचार बुलेटिन समाप्त हुआ।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold bilateral talks with Swedish King Carl XVI Gustav. White House says President Donald Trump and his council will not participate in the impeachment hearings. Iran begins registration for candidates for the upcoming legislative elections. 7th edition of exercise Mitra Shakti aimed at enhancing interoperability and operational efficiency amongst the armies of India and Sri Lanka commences at Own Military Station, Pune.
Gustav and Queen Sylvia of Sweden arrived today on a 5-day visit. The King will have meetings with President Ramnath Kovind and Prime Minister Narendra Modi on ways to further boost bilateral ties between the two nations. Apart from Delhi, the royal couple is scheduled to visit Mumbai and Uttarakhand. In Delhi, the King and Queen are scheduled to visit Jama Masjid, Red Fort and Gandhi Smriti. It is King Gustav's third visit to India. The King is leading a high-level business delegation from his country. The ties between India and Sweden have been on an upward trajectory in the last few years. The bilateral trade volume was USD 3.37 billion in 2018. The White House has notified the House Judiciary Committee in a letter published yesterday that President Donald Trump and his counsel will not take part in the next round of impeachment hearing, citing the likelihood of an unfair process and anti-Trump bias from the Democrat-dominated committee. Nadler last week gave Trump 2 deadlines to decide whether he or his counsel would attend the hearings, which are scheduled to begin December 4th and focus on the legal framework of the impeachment process. The first deadline asked Trump whether he would involve a lawyer on his behalf was passed December 1 at 6 p.m. The letter was made public several hours after the deadline had passed. The next deadline, according to a letter Nadler sent to Trump, is set for December 6th and calls on the president to decide whether he would call on witnesses or request subpoenas. Cipollo said the White House will respond to that deadline in a separate letter. The president has hitherto refused to cooperate with the probe, initiated by House Democrats who seek to prove that he abused his powers of pursuing Ukraine into investigating his political rivals, former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Biden. Trump has repeatedly said that he did not engage in a quid pro quo and characterized the impeachment bid as another political witch hunt by Democrats to reverse the results of the 2016 presidential election.
Iran has begun registering candidates for the upcoming legislative elections amid the mounting pressures of the United States on the country's vital economic sectors. The 11th round of parliamentary elections in Iran is slated for Feb 21, 2020, 4 years after the previous one in 2016. The registration of the candidates began in the Iranian Interior Ministry in the capital Tehran, provincial governorates across the country, as well as Iran's embassies, consulates and political missions abroad, Xinhua said in a report. Parliamentary hopefuls could get their names registered for the race by December 7. Iran's Guardian Council of Constitution, the vetting body for elections, will qualify the credentials of the registered people for the election race. Abbas Ali Khatkodeh, spokesman for the council, suggested yesterday that his institution could be less strict on the evaluation of the qualification of the candidates for the upcoming parliamentary elections. Iran's parliament, or the Majlis, is made up of 290 members. As with the past elections, the hotbed of competition of the parliament seats will be divided between conservatives and reformists. According to local reports, the reformists currently occupy 41% of the parliament seats, while the conservatives are in possession of 29% of the seats. The rest belongs to the independents and minorities. In the past 2 years, the Iranians have experienced high rate of inflation, unemployment and recession of the economy, partially because of the sanction pressures by the United States. Sri Lanka's new government will aim to increase investments from China and a few other leading markets next year in order to boost the foreign direct investments (FDI) sector and the economy of the island country. State Minister Investment Promotion Kelia Rambukwela was quoted in local media reports. Speaking to journalists in capital Colombo, Rambukwela said that some of the leading markets of Sri Lanka were China, India and Japan, as these countries were important especially in terms of logistics. Sri Lanka's new government, headed by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, is aiming to boost Sri Lanka's economic growth to 6.5% in the coming years and transform Sri Lanka to an international hub. Attracting FDIs will be a key priority for this government, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said last week. In 2017, Sri Lanka received FDIs worth $1.6 billion, with China bringing in the highest FDI, followed by India and Singapore. The Sri Lankan government is aiming to attract $5 billion worth of FDIs per year by 2020.
About 700 people rallied today to show support to Myanmar's leader Aung San Suu Kyi as she prepares to defend the country against charges of genocide at the UN's highest court. Members of Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy party swelled the ranks in front of the colonial-era city hall in Yangon, Myanmar's largest city, as a crowd waved national flags and listened to music and poetry. The case before the International Court of Justice, the Hague, relates to a harsh counterinsurgency campaign waged by Myanmar's military against members of the country's Muslim Rohingya community in August 2017 in response to an insurgent attack. More than 700,000 Rohingya fled to neighboring Bangladesh to escape what has been called an ethnic cleansing campaign involving mass rapes, killings and torching of homes. The head of a UN fact-finding mission on Myanmar warned recently that there is a serious risk of genocide reoccurring. Gambia filed a case at the ICJ, also known as the World Court, on behalf of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. The case alleges that Myanmar's actions against the Rohingya are genocidal in character because they are intended to destroy the Rohingya group in whole or in part. Myanmar has strongly denied the charges but says it stands ready to take action against wrongdoers if there is sufficient evidence. Suu Kyi, who was awarded the 1991 Nobel Peace Prize for championing democracy and human rights under Myanmar's then-ruling junta, will lead the delegation to The Hague to her capacity as foreign minister. Hearings are due to start on December 10th. The case is expected to last several years.
11 people were injured in a shooting in New Orleans' French Quarter, a popular tourist hub, U.S. police said, adding that 2 of the victims were in a critical condition. The shooting took place in a crowded commercial street near many hotels in a historic district that attracts visitors from around the world. No fatalities had been reported, and the police said they quickly responded to the incident as extra patrols were on duty for an annual Thanksgiving weekend university football game in the city. The New Orleans Police Department said via its Twitter feed that no arrest had been made and investigations were ongoing. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said global efforts to stop climate change have been utterly inadequate so far and warns that the point of no return is no longer over the horizon. Mr. Guterres told reporters in Madrid that the world has the scientific knowledge and the technical means to keep global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius enshrined in the 2015 Paris Climate Accord, but what is lacking is political will. Speaking before the start of a 2-week international climate conference in the Spanish capital, Mr. Guterres said that our war against nature must stop and we know that it is possible. He also announced that outgoing Bank of England Governor Mark Carney will become his new special envoy on climate action and climate finance from next year.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates, visit our News on AIR app and also follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. You can also visit our website www.newsonair.com and your YouTube channel News on AIR Official. Listening to our program Prime Meridian, where we bring you news from across the globe. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more updates from across the world. Police fired tear gas and pepper spray in Hong Kong today as tens of thousands of black-clad protesters flooded into the streets a week after pro-democracy candidates scored a landslide local election victory. The rally heralded an end to a rare lull and a return to the large-scale demonstrations that Hong Kongers have staged for nearly 6 months, fueled by growing fears that China is stamping out the city's liberties. It also marked a resumption of the increasingly violent confrontations between protesters and the police, with officers firing pepper spray and volleys of tear gas at crowds that included children. Hong Kong's Beijing-backed chief Carrie Lam has offered no additional concessions in the wake of the elections, and protesters said they felt compelled to return to the streets. Minister of State for Human Resource Development Sanjay Dhotre inaugurated the Indian Pavilion at the International Book Fair in Guadalajara, Mexico. This fair is the biggest book fair in the Spanish-speaking world. India is the guest of honor country in this book fair, and it becomes first Asian country to participate as guest of honor in the fair. Speaking at the inaugural ceremony, Mr. Dhotre highlighted the deep literacy connection between India and Mexico and referred to the legendary Mexican poet, Nobel laureate Octavio Paz's first visit to India in 1952. He also said that both the countries are in opposite directions on the world map, but both have great similarities in terms of their people, biodiversity, family and cultural values. He invited all the publishers gathered from across the world to the World Book Fair, being organized by the National Book Trust in New Delhi during January 2020.
Iraqi protesters set fire to the entrance of a shrine in the southern holy city of Najaf, and security forces fired tear gas to disperse them. The incident took place during one of the bloodiest weeks of Iraq's anti-government unrest, which erupted last month. Meanwhile, Iraqi legislatures have approved Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi's resignation during a parliament session held in the capital, Baghdad. On Friday, an embattled Abdul Mahdi formally submitted his offer to stepping down following the killing of around 50 demonstrators by the security forces in Baghdad and Iraq's mainly Shia southern cities of Nasiriyah and Najaf. Referring to Article 76 of the country's constitution, Speaker Mohammad Al-Halbusi today said President Barham Saleh will now ask the largest political bloc in parliament to nominate the next prime minister. US online sales are set to hit a new record on this week's Cyber Monday, Adobe Analytics said, as e-commerce outlets gear up to lure shoppers in the upcoming opening days of the holiday season. Internet purchases are expected to reach $9.4 billion, a jump of nearly 19% over last year's record-setting $7.9 billion take, according to an estimate from the company, which measures transactions from 80 of the 100 largest U.S. online retailers. U.S. merchants have long viewed the days after the Thursday Thanksgiving holiday as a prime time to part shoppers from their money, particularly during the Black Friday sales following the holiday. This year's expected record-setting shopping comes as PricewaterhouseCoopers found that the first time a majority of people surveyed said they would rather shop online than in a brick-and-mortar store.
Prosecutors in Malta have charged a prominent businessman as an accomplice in the 2017 car bombing that killed investigative journalist Daphne Caruana Galizia. Caruana Galizia, a prominent anti-corruption blogger, was killed by a car bomb in 2017. Jorgen Fenich, one of the Mediterranean island's wealthiest tycoons, pleaded not guilty last night to a charge of complicity in the journalist's murder and to another charge of being an accomplice to the bombing. He was arrested on November 20th. Fenich's alleged ties to ministers and senior officials have also spawned a political crisis for the government of Prime Minister Youssef Muscat. Indian men's volleyball team will clash with Pakistan in the final of the 13th South Asian Games. In a thrilling first semi-final, India defeated Sri Lanka by 3-1 in Kathmandu today. There was neck-to-neck competition between the two teams. In the first set, Sri Lankan players gave a tough fight, but India could manage to win it by 27-25. India won second test easily by 25-19. But in the third set, Sri Lankan bounced back and won the test by 25-21. India won the fourth and deciding set by 25-21 and stormed into the final. India will now take on Pakistan in the final on Tuesday. In the second semi-final, Pakistan beat Bangladesh in straight sets by 25-15, 25-21 and 26-24. Indian women's team has already reached in the final, defeating Maldives yesterday. Indian girls will clash with host Nepal in the final on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Nepal is all set for a formal opening ceremony of the biggest sporting event of South Asia. President of Nepal, Vidya Devi Bhandari, will declare games open this evening at Dashrath Rangshala in Kathmandu. During the 10-day event, 2,715 athletes will compete for 1,119 medals, including 319 gold in 26 game categories. As many as 487 athletes from India are participating in the games. The closing ceremony will be held on 10th December.
In Tunisia, at least 26 people were killed and 18 injured yesterday when a bus plunged off a cliff into a ravine. The tourism ministry said that the bus was going from capital Tunis to the picturesque mountain town of Ain Draham, a popular autumn destination. The health ministry said that all the victims were aged between 20 and 30. The Interior Ministry said that the bus with 43 people on board was travelling through the Ain Sonsi region where it plunged over the cliff. Tunisian President Kais Saied and Prime Minister Youssouf Chahed arrived at the site of the accident. Mali's President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta has urged the countrymen not to bite the hands of the nation giving aid. He said this in a response to growing hostility to foreign forces helping the Sahel country battle Islamist militants. French forces have been in Mali since a 2013 campaign to drive out Islamist fighters from the country's north, but public anger over growing militant violence has recently turned into a presence of foreign troops. Keïta's appeal came days after a mid-air collision between two helicopters killed 13 French troops who were on a nighttime operation against jihadists in Mali.
The 48th National Day celebrations of the United Arab Emirates is celebrated today under the patronage of Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the UAE, at the Zayed Sports City Stadium in Abu Dhabi. The organizing committee of the official UAE National Day confirmed that the preparations for the celebrations have been completed. The celebration will be centered around a spectacular theatrical production titled Legacy of Our Ancestors. The show will be staged on a grand scale with more than 5,000 experts from 70 countries coming together to shape this production. The show will take the audience on a vivid journey of the UAE's heritage through a series of stories that highlighted values of courage, determination, generosity and tolerance which have been long embedded in UAE's national and social fabric and have been passed down through generations. The National Day of UAE is celebrated on the 2nd of December every year. It marks the day when Emirates united together at Union House to form the United Arab Emirates in 1971. Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan was the first president of UAE. Celebrations are held across the country to mark the union of the 7 Emirates. Fireworks, dance shows and car rallies are some of the most common activities that people enjoy on this holiday. Philippines was braced for powerful typhoon Kamuri as the storm churned closer, forcing evacuations and threatening plans for the Southeast Asian Games events near the capital Manila. Kamuri is expected to make full landfall late today or early Tuesday in the nation's east, with heavy rains and wind gusts of up to 185 kilometers, 115 miles per hour. Forecasters said the storm is on track to then pass close to Manila, which is home to some 13 million people and the site for many of the SCA Games competitions. Nearly 70,000 people have already fled their homes in the Bicol region, which is where the typhoon is expected to make landfall. The Philippines is hit by an average of 20 storms and typhoons each year, killing hundreds and putting people in disaster-prone areas in a state of constant poverty.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates, visit our News on Air app and follow us on Twitter at Air News Alerts. You can also visit our website www.newsonair.com and our YouTube channel News on Air Official. are listening to our program Prime Meridian, where we bring you news from across the globe. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more updates from across the world. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said the security services are stepping up monitoring of convicted terrorists released early from prison following the London Bridge attack. He revealed that officials were scrutinizing nearly 74 people with terrorist convictions who had been released early from prison, like Usman Khan, who left jail last December and went on to stab 2 people to death in Friday's rampage. Mr. Johnson told the BBC that they are being properly invigilated to make sure there is no threat. Khan has become a contentious political issue ahead of Britain's December 12 election, with Johnson blaming the previous Labour government for changing the law in 2008 to allow for the early release of prisoners. The Conservative leader vowed that if he reclaims power this month, he will end early release of terrorist offences and introduce minimum 14-year sentences. He also said sub-convicted will never be released. However, critics have hit out at Johnson for appearing to politicize Friday's attack. The Ministry of Transport of the UN-backed Libyan government on Sunday announced that the Mitiga International Airport in the capital Tripoli will resume flights on December 12. A meeting was held to discuss the latest developments of the projects, in which a decision was made to reactivate the airport on December 12, said a statement of the ministry. Mitiga International Airport has been closed in September after it was hit by shelling, and all flights have since been redirected to the international airport of Misrata city, some 200 kilometers east of Tripoli. The eastern-based army led by Khalifa Haftar has been leading a military campaign in and around Tripoli, attempting to take over the city and topple the UN-backed government. Thousands have been killed and injured in the fighting, and more than 120,000 people have been displaced away from their homes. Despite UN condemnations, Mitiga and Misrata international airports have repeatedly been targeted since the beginning of the armed conflict.
A South Korean court has sentenced K-pop stars Jung Jung-young and Choi Jong-hong to 6 and 5 years in prison for gang-raping drunk, unconscious women. Jung was also charged with filming the assault and distributing the footage. The men will have to do 80 hours of sexual violence treatment courses and are banned from working with children. The case is one of several sex and abuse scandals that have rocked the K-pop world in recent years. In the final testimony, Jung, who rose to the fame on a TV talent show, said that he deeply regrets his foolishness and feels great remorse. Choi, a former member of the band FT Island, which had #1 albums in South Korea, the court said that the 30-year-old did not feel remorse after mass raping drunken victims. The allegations involving some of the biggest stars of the K-pop world have become a growing scandal. The case against the two was discovered during a separate police investigation into K-pop superstar Seungri, who was reportedly a member of Jung's group chat. Seungri, whose boy brand Big Bang have sold more than 140 million records, has been charged with supplying prostitutes to potential business investors. Police reportedly found Jung's video while investigating the case. 2 Indian students were killed in a hit-and-run accident in South Nashville, Tennessee on Thanksgiving night, authorities have said. Judy Stanley, 23, and Vaibhav Kopisetti, 26, were graduate students of the Tennessee State University, TSU, and were pursuing food science degrees in the College of Agriculture, the university said. According to the local police, Stanley and Gopisetti died in an apparent hit-and-run incident on the night of November 28th. Stanley was seeking a master's, Gopisetti a doctorate, the university said in a statement. David Torres, 26, the owner of the GMC pickup truck involved in the double fatal crash on Nolensville Pike near Harding Place, surrounded police before the police Metro Nashville Police Department said on Sunday. According to the police, Taurus vehicle crashed into a Nissan Sentra in which the two Indian students were traveling. The pickup truck was speeding and ran a red light when it hit the passenger side of the Sentra. Witnesses said, according to ABC affiliate News 9, the car went off the road and through a fence before slamming into a tree on the Walmart property. Stanley and Gopi Sethi succumbed to injuries and their families have been notified, police said. Adding to that, Taurus ran away from the scene.
Japan's Economy and Industry Ministry proposed a revision today to its decades-long roadmap to clean up the radioactive mess at the Fukushima nuclear power plant, which was wrecked by a massive earthquake and tsunami in 2011. Nearly 9 years after the accident, the decommissioning of the plant, where 3 reactors melted, remains largely an uncertainty. The revised roadmap, to be formally approved later this month, lacks details on how the complex should look at the end, but maintains a 30 to 40-year target to finish. By far, the toughest challenge is to remove the 800 tons of nuclear fuel in the 3 reactors that melted, fell from the cores and hardened at the bottom of the primary containment vessels. In the past 2 years, plant operator Tokyo Electric Power Company, or TEPCO, has made progress in gathering details mainly from 2 of the 3 reactors. Some have raised doubts if removing all the melted fuel is doable and suggest an approach like Chernobyl, contain the reactors and wait until radioactivity naturally decreases. Together, the 3 melted reactors have more than 1,500 units of mostly used nuclear fuel rods still inside that must be kept cool in pools of water. They are among the highest risk at the plant because the pools are uncovered and loss of water from structural damage or sloshing in the event of another major earthquake could cause fuel rods inside to melt and release massive radiation.
The 7th edition of exercise Mitra Shakti, aimed at enhancing interoperability and operational efficiency amongst the armies of India and Sri Lanka, commenced today at Ond Military Station, Pune. Defence Ministry said the objective of the exercise is to build and promote positive relations between armies of both the countries through focus on sub-unit level training on counterinsurgency and counter-terrorism operations in urban and rural environment. The joint training exercise also signifies the strength of India-Sri Lanka relations in the field of military cooperation and engagement. The exercise is designed for incorporating the current dynamics of the United Nations peacekeeping operations through practical and comprehensive discussions and tactical exercises. In Russia, emergency officials said 19 people were killed when their bus plunged off a bridge into a frozen river in eastern Siberia yesterday. Russian news agencies citing the officials said another 22 people were also injured in the accident. Initial investigations indicates that a front wheel on the bus failed as it was crossing a bridge over the Kyunga River about 4,900 kilometers east of Moscow.
Saudi Arabia became the first Arab nation to take over the G20 presidency yesterday as it seeks to bounce back onto the world stage following global uproar over its human rights record. The G20 presidency, which Saudi Arabia takes over from Japan, will see its host world leaders for a global summit in its capital, Riyadh, on November 21-22, 2020. The oil-rich kingdom has promoted a liberalization drive, including granting greater rights to women, but faced strong criticism over a crackdown on dissent and the number of journalists Jamal Khashoggi last year.
And now, before we end this bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold bilateral talks with Swedish King Carl XVI Gustaf. White House says President Donald Trump and his council will not participate in the impeachment hearings. 7th edition of exercise Mitra Shakti aimed at enhancing interoperability and operational efficiency amongst the armies of India and Sri Lanka. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more updates from across the world.